In this video, we are going to see how to solve square root equations. Let's look at an example. Square root of 2x negative 1 is equal to 3. So, I want to solve this equation. That is, I just want to find the value of x. Okay, whenever we solve a square root equation, our first aim is to get rid of the square root, that is to remove the square root. So, to remove the square root, what we need to do is, so we have to square. So, here already the square root term is isolated because we have only square root term on the left side of the equation. So, to get rid of the square root, I have to square both sides. So, to get rid of the square root, I square both sides. The square will cancel out. I get 2x negative 1 on the left side. On the right side, the value of 3 square is 9. So, now I need to isolate x. So, for that I try to get rid of this negative 1. For that I am adding 1 to both sides. So, the negative 1 positive 1 will cancel out. I get 2x is equal to 10. Then I divide both sides by 2 because 2 and x are multiplied. To get rid of the 2 multiplied by x, I divide both sides by 2. The 2 will cancel out. I get x is equal to 2 goes into 2 1 times, 2 goes into 10 5 times. So, the value of x is 5. Let us look at another example. 3 positive square root of 2x negative 7 is equal to 4. Okay, here on the left side of the equation, along with the square root term, we have 3. So, always before we are trying to get rid of the square root, always we have to isolate the square root term. So, here 3 is added to the square root term. So, to isolate the square root term, I have to get rid of this 3. So, to get rid of this 3, I subtract 3 from both sides. When I subtract 3 from both sides, this 3 negative 3 will cancel out. I just square root of 2x negative 7 is equal to 4 negative 3 is just 1 when I simplify this one. Okay, now the square root term is isolated. Now to get rid of the square, I have to square both sides. Okay, this square will cancel out. I get 2x negative 7 is equal to 1. Now to solve for x, that is we have to isolate x. I have to get rid of all the values around the variable x. First, I am trying to get rid of the negative 7. For that, I am adding 7 to both sides. So, negative 7 positive 7 will cancel out. I get 2x is equal to on the right side, 1 plus 7 is equal to 8. Now, to get rid of the 2 multiplied by x, I divide both sides by 2. So, 2 will cancel out. 2 goes into 2 1 times, 2 goes into 8 4 times. So, finally, I get x is equal to 4. Let us look at another example. 4 negative square root of x negative 1 is equal to 5. So, the same thing I have told you in the previous example, the square root term has to be isolated. So, here along with the square root we have 4. So, to get rid of this 4, I have to subtract 4 from both sides. When I do so, this 4 negative 4 will cancel out. Negative square root of x minus 1 is equal to just 1. Okay, now to get rid of the square root, I square both sides. Okay, whenever I square a negative value, it will become positive. So, just for an example, I square negative 3. So, whenever I square negative value, so that is I have to write this negative 3 twice because the power is 2, negative 3 times negative 3. So, negative times negative will become positive, 3 times 3 is 9. So, now it is clear, whenever we square any negative value, it will become positive. Not only square, if you take even power for a negative value, it will become positive. Since the square of a negative value is positive, in our problem, we have square for the negative square root of x minus 1. So, because we have the power 2 square root, square, so this negative will become positive. So, we get square root of x minus 1, the whole square is equal to the value of 1 square is 1. Now, we can cancel the square root and square. We get x minus 1 on the left side, we have 1 on the right side. To solve for x, I just have to add 1 to the both sides. Negative 1 positive 1 will cancel out. X is equal to 2. Okay, let us look at another example. X is equal to square root of x positive 2. Okay, here already the square root term is isolated. So, to get rid of the square root we have on the right side, you just have to square both sides. So, I square both sides of the equation. When I do so, the square will cancel out. I get x square is equal to x positive 2. Okay, now we can subtract x and 2. and we can make the right side 0, then we will be getting a quadratic equation. So I subtract x from both sides, and also I subtract 2 from both sides. When I do it, so positive x, negative x will cancel out, positive to negative will cancel out. You get x square, negative x, negative 2, on the right side we have 0. Okay, now we have to solve this quadratic equation. For that we have to look at the coefficient of x square. Now it's a quadratic equation, the coefficient of x square is just 1, so we can consider only the constant term, which is negative 2. Now I have to get it, I had two factors, I have to get two factors for negative 2, such that the sum of the two factors is equal to the coefficient of negative x, which is negative 1. Okay, so we can take negative 2 and positive 1. When I multiply these two factors, that is equal to negative 2. When I add them, that is equal to negative 1, which is the coefficient of x or middle term. So easily we can get the two values of x from these two factors. We just have to change the sign of these two factors, then we get x is equal to negative 2 will become positive 2 and the positive 1 will become negative 1. I mean you change the sign of this negative 2, then you will get positive 2, that is one of the values of x. If you change the sign of this positive 1, it will become negative 1, that is the other value of x. So in this equation we get two values for x, one is 2 and other one is negative 1. Let us look at another example, that is 2 one second. Let us look at another example, 2 minus x plus square root of x positive 4 equals to 0. As I told you in my previous example, first you have to isolate the square root term. After that, you have to square both sides of the equation to get rid of the square root. So here on the left side, along with the square root term, we have 2 and negative x. My first aim is to isolate this square root term, this one. So for that, I need to get rid of this 2 and negative x. So for that, I subtract 2 from both sides. So when I do it, so this 2 and negative 2 will cancel out, then I will have negative x positive square root of x positive 4 is equal to negative 2. Now to get rid of this negative x, what I am going to do is I am going to add to both sides of the equation. So positive x, positive x. So this negative x, positive x will cancel out. Now we have square root of x positive 4 on the left side. On the right side we have positive x and negative 2, so it can be written as x minus 2. Okay, now the square root term is isolated. So now we have to get rid of the square root by taking square on both sides. So this square root and square will cancel out, we just get x positive 4 on the right side. We have x minus 2 the whole square on the right side. So we can write x minus 2 twice, that is x minus 2 times x minus 2. Okay, now you can multiply the two binomials x minus 2 and x minus 2 using FOIL method. That is the first terms x times x will be x square, and outer terms x times negative 2 will be negative 2x, then inner terms negative 2 times x will be negative 2x, and last terms negative 2 times negative 2 will become positive 4. Okay, now we will get the equation x positive 4 is equal to x square. When you combine the like terms here, negative 2x and negative 2x, it will become negative 4x positive 4. Okay, you can subtract x and 4 from both sides. So when you subtract x and 4 from both sides of the equation, the negative x, positive x will cancel out here, negative 4, positive 4 will cancel, we just get 0 on the left side. On the right side we have x square, negative 4x, negative x will become negative 5x, and this positive 4, negative 4 will cancel out. Okay, now we have 0 is equal to x square negative 5x, or the same equation can be written as x square negative 5x is equal to 0. Okay, here on the left side we have the expression x square negative 5x. The common divisor of these two terms is just x. So we can factor x. If x is factored, we will have x minus 5 inside the parenthesis, we have 0. Now the product of these two values is equal to 0. Whenever the product of two values is equal to 0, either the first value can be 0 or the second value can be 0. So we have nothing to do with this one because it says x is equal to 0. So if you solve this equation, I mean I have to add 5 to both sides to solve for x in this equation. So I get x is equal to 5. So we get two values for x in this equation. One is x is equal to 0 and other one is x is equal to 5. Okay, let us look at another example. 8 positive 3 times square root of 3x negative 5 is equal to 20. Okay, as I told you already, first we have to isolate the square root term. For that, first we have to get rid of the 8 we have on the left side of the equation. I just subtract 8 from both sides. So positive 8, negative 8 will cancel out. 3 times square root of 3x negative 5 is equal to 12. Okay, here it's a multiple of 3 because 3 is multiplied here, and we have 12 on the right side. This is also multiple of 3. On both sides of the equation we have multiples of 3. Since we have multiples of 3 on both sides of the equation, we can divide both sides of the equation by 3 to simplify the equation. So I divide both sides of the equation by 3. When I do it, so 3 will cancel out. I get square root of 3x minus 5 on the left side. On the right side, 3 goes into 3 1 times, 3 goes into 12 4 times. I just get 4. Now the square root term is isolated. Now I can square both sides to get rid of the square root. So the square root and square will cancel out. 3x negative 5 is equal to 16. Now I can add 5 to both sides to solve for x. So that is, I have to isolate x. For that I have to get rid of all the values around the variable x. So first I try to remove the value negative 5. For that I am adding 5 to both sides. So negative 5 positive 5 will cancel negative 5 positive 5 will cancel out. We get 3x on the left side. On the right side, 16 plus 5 will be 21. So now we have the equation 3x is equal to 21. We can divide both sides by 3 to get rid of the 3 which is multiplied by x. So 3 will cancel out. 3 goes into 3 1 times, 3 goes into 21 7 times. So we get x is equal to 7. Let's look at another example. Square root of 4x negative 3 is equal to square root of 2x positive 1. Okay, here we have square root on both sides. On both sides the square root term is isolated. So simply we can square both sides to get rid of the square root on both sides. So I square both sides of the equation. So the square and square root will cancel out. The same thing will happen on the left side. We get 4x negative 3 is equal to 2x positive 1. Okay, so here the variable appears on both sides of the equation, but the variable has to appear on only one side of the equation. So to get rid of the variable on the right side, I just subtract 2x from both sides. So 2x negative 2x on the right side will cancel out, and here the simplification of 4x negative 2x on the left side will be just 2x negative 3 is equal to positive 1. So now my aim is to isolate x, so I have to get rid of all the values around the variable x. So first add 3 to get rid of the negative 3, add 3 to both sides of the equation. Negative 3 positive 3 will cancel out. I get 2x is equal to 4. Then I divide both sides by 2. Then 2 will cancel out. X is equal to 2. So in this equation the value of x is 2. Let's look at another example. Consider the equation 3 plus square root of x negative 2 is equal to square root of 4x positive 1. Okay, in this equation also we have square root on both sides, but on the left side along with the square root term we have 3. So to isolate this square root term we need to subtract 3. Okay, even if I subtract 3 from both sides, what will happen here is 3 negative 3 will cancel out. We get square root of x minus 2 on the left side. On the right side, square root of 4x positive 1 negative 3. So I have isolated the square root term on the left side, but what happened here is we have negative 3 along with the square root term on the right side. So there is no use of subtracting 3 from both sides in this equation. So and also we cannot isolate the square root term on the left side or right side. So we have to keep it as it is, and we have to square both sides, because as I told you already, to get rid of the square root we have to square. Okay, here for this term we have power 2. So we have to write this term, this binomial twice and multiply them. So we get 3 positive square root of x negative 2 times 3 positive square root of x negative 2. On the right side, this square root square will cancel out. We just get 4x positive 1. Okay, now what we can do is we can multiply using the FOIL method. So 3 times 3 is 9, and 3 times square root of x minus 2 is positive 3 times square root of x minus 2, and square root of x minus 2 times 3 will be 3 times square root of x minus 2, and square root of x minus 2 times square root of x minus 2 will be square root of x minus 2 the whole square. On the right side we have 4x positive 1. Okay, so here the square root and square will cancel out. 9 positive these two are like terms. We have square root of x minus 2, square root of x minus 2. When you combine them, we get 6 times square root of x minus 2. So this is actually similar to 3x positive 3x is equal to, we write 6x. So it's similar to this one. So we have x here, we have x here. So they are like terms. When we combine them, we get 6x. In the same way, we have to approach 3 times square root of x minus 2, 3 times square root of x minus 2. When you combine them, it will be 6 times square root of x minus 2. So further, we have here square root and square cancelled out. We get x minus 2 is equal to 4x positive 1. Okay, we can write this 6 times square root of x minus 2 as it is. We can combine this number 9 and the number negative 2. So we get positive x. When you combine 9 and minus 2, it will be positive 7 is equal to 4x positive 1. Okay, now there is only one square root term, which is 6 times square root of x minus 2. So we have to isolate that first. So for that, I have to get rid of the positive x and positive 7 on the left side. For that, I separate x and 7 from both sides. Okay, when I do it, so this one will cancel out. 6 times square root of x minus 2 is equal to, and the simplification of this part is 3x negative 6. Okay, now what we can do is, so 6 times square root of x minus 2 is equal to this 3x negative 6. Both are multiples of 6, so we can factor 3. If you factor 3, you will be getting x minus 2 here inside the parenthesis. So both 6 times square root of x minus 2, 3 times x minus 2 are multiples of 3. So to make the numbers smaller, we can divide both sides of the equation by 3. So this 3 will cancel out. 3 goes into 3 one times, 3 goes into 6 twice. So 2 times square root of x minus 2 is equal to x minus 2. Okay, now what we need to do is, we have to square both sides of the equation out to get rid of the square root, because the square root term is isolated. So when we square both sides, here 2 and square root of x minus 2 are multiplied, and we have the common power 2. So the power can be distributed to this 2 and this square root term. When I do it, so I'll be getting 2 square root of x minus 2 the whole square. On the right side, x minus 2 times x minus 2, because for x minus 2 we have whole square. Okay, now what we need to do is, this 2 square will become 4, and square will cancel out. We get x minus 2 on the right side. When you multiply them, x square negative 4x positive 4. Now we can distribute this 4 to x and negative 2, then you will be getting 4x minus 8 is equal to x square negative 4x positive 4. Okay, so you can subtract 4x from both sides, and also you can add 8 to both sides. So then you will be getting 4x negative 4x will cancel, negative 8 positive 8 will cancel, we get 0, and x square negative 8x positive 12. Okay, we will continue the problem on the next page. We have x square negative 8x positive 12, and here we have 0 is equal to. Okay, we can write the same as x square negative 8x positive 12 is equal to 0. Okay, so this is a quadratic equation. We can solve this quadratic equation by factoring. The coefficient of x square is 1, so we can consider only the constant of plus 12. We have to get two factors for this positive 12, so that the sum of the two factors is equal to the middle term negative 8. So negative 6 and negative 2. When you multiply these two factors, that is equal to positive 12. When you add them, you get negative 8. So to get the two values of x, you just have to change the sign of these two factors. Then the two values of x are x is equal to 6 and x is equal to 2. Okay, let's look at another example. So here we have a question, that is x is equal, if square root of x positive square root of y is equal to 4 times square root of y, and question also says x greater than 0, y greater than 0. They are asking us to solve for x in terms of y. So here students may get confused about this information. X is greater than 0, y is greater than 0. Here we have square root for x. If x is negative value, it will become imaginary. So that is why they are giving the information x greater than 0. So this is a real value. and also y is inside the square root. If y is negative, then this part will become imaginary, but the question says y is greater than 0, so there is no chance for it to be imaginary. Both square root of x and square root of y are real numbers. Okay, our target is to find x in terms of y. Okay, let me take the given equation. Square root of x positive square root of y is equal to 4 times square root of y. So since they are asking us to solve for x, I have to isolate x. So for that, first I have to get rid of this positive square root of y. So for that, I subtract square root of y on both sides. So this positive square root of y, negative square root of y will cancel out. I just get square root of x on the left side. When I subtract negative 1 square root of y from the 4 square root of y, I will be getting 3 square root of y. So here you don't have to get confused about the simplification. This is similar to 4y negative 1y, which is equal to 3y. So instead of y, we just have square root of y, that's it. So if you have y, you write the result with y. If you have square root of y, you have to write the result with square root of y, that's it. So 4y minus 1 square root of y is equal to 3 times square root of y. Okay, I need x, but here we have square root of x. I have to get rid of the square root. For that, I have to square both sides. When I square both sides, the square root and square will cancel out. I just get x. And here 3 and square root of y are multiplied. So 2 is a common power. So the power can be distributed to 3 and square root of y. Then I will be getting 3 square root of y the whole square. So x is equal to the value of 3 square is just 9. The square root square will cancel out. You just get y. So now we got x in terms of y, that is x is equal to 9 times y. Hope this video will be much helpful for the students who study Algebra 2. If you like this video, please subscribe our channel. Thank you.